In the next lecture, that is lecture 8, we are going to discuss the types of research. What are the types of research? We should also know that. The types of research are based on their purposes. The broad purposes or types of researches we will be discussing today. We cannot collect all together in one basket that all the researches are of one type. No. Researches are of different types, and all these we will be discussing in the coming discussions. So, the first kind of research or the first type of research which we are going to discuss is the exploratory or the formulative research. This type of research is related to the problem or the issue or the subject about which there is no information or little information. New issue. Generally, this type of research is qualitative also and helping in formulating hypotheses. So many times the exploratory or formulative research is helpful in formulating the hypothesis also. In this type of research, it is assumed, it is that there is very little knowledge, no knowledge about the problem or the phenomenon or the situation which we are going to, for which we are going to undertake the study. The researcher is unfamiliar with the phenomena, with the issue that they are going to study. For example, prison, life in prison. For example, tsunami, COVID, university, village, tribe. A student's unrest. These are all issues in which generally we do not have early knowledge. And exploratory studies are also appropriate for some persistent phenomena. For example, deficiency in education system, corruption among political elite, rural poverty, etc. Exploratory research is quite important in social sciences as it helps to break new grounds. However, it does not provide total answers to the research questions because there is no knowledge about it. The exploratory research are the various kind of inquiry commissions. They are the, as I told you, FIRs in the police stations, where something has already happened and we have to report that, the various aspects of that happening. We cannot do any experimentation to that. We cannot have any control on those factors, or the control concept of control cannot be implemented in this type of research, that is exploratory or formulative. We have to report what has happened. If there is an inquiry commission, studying the devastation by floods, then the commissioner or the inquiry officer, he or she has to report what has happened, why it has happened, how it should be controlled. They can give suggestions, but they cannot do experimentation into this phenomenon. They cannot control one factor to study the one independent factor, to study the impact of another independent factor on the dependent factor. It is not possible. It is to be reported. Some crime has taken place. This crime has already taken place. The inquiry officer, he has to investigate what already has happened and then report the various aspects of this crime. That is called the exploratory research or the formulative research, because the researcher cannot do any experimentation, cannot implement the concept of control in this kind of research. These are basically happenings or phenomena which have already taken place, and the knowledge is to be gathered. Various aspects of this phenomena has to be gathered so that a proper action could be taken. So, and the effort should be that in future these does not take place. These are called the exploratory phenomena or formulative or exploratory research or formulative research. The next that we are going to discuss in the type of research is the descriptive research. What is descriptive research? In this type of research, social conditions, social situations, social events, social systems, social structures, individual, the characteristics of individual or the organization or the society is taken up. The researcher observes or studies and reports his findings, and then he discusses the findings and also recommends his suggestions. So, for example, the nature of drug abuse among students. This is a very serious issue, but it has to be done through the descriptive research because it includes surveys and fact finding inquiries of all kinds. The how this drug infiltrated into students, what is where it is available, how it is available, is there any mafia into it, all those kind of research questions has to be answered by this type of research. It also, the descriptive research mainly aims at describing the state of affairs as it presently exists. For descriptive research, the term ex post facto research is also used. Again, the researcher has no control over the variables. He cannot control over the variables. The phenomenon has already happened and he cannot recreate the phenomenon. So, it is the descriptive research we have to adopt in such cases. The researcher can only report what has happened or what is happening. And of course, in the characteristics of ex post facto research, the researcher has no control over the variables that influence this phenomenon. The researcher again has to find the various kind of characteristics and report what are those characteristics and what is happening or the other aspects of the phenomenon. Ex post facto research aims to discover causes even when they cannot control the variables. So, that is the most crucial, because it is in social science research, it is not always that control can be implemented. Now, increasing the concept of control is being increasingly introduced into the social science research, but still there are issues, there are problems in which the concept of control cannot be implemented, and such kind of research, they employ descriptive research. In the descriptive research, survey methods of all kind, including comparative and correlation methods. The examples of descriptive research may be the frequency of shopping, preferences of people, decline in the demand of a certain brand, participation of women in Indian elections, census in India, etc. So, if we are working on the frequency of shopping, then we have to study what has happened already, or the decline in the product of a certain brand of, say, milk or butter, then we do not have any option but to study what has already happened. The reasons why certain brand of milk, demand for certain brand of milk has declined, and the reasons why certain brand of milk has declined can be investigated through this research. But again, there cannot be no experimentation, no control. Whether the women in India or anywhere else, Iran or say USA, are they, their participation in the electoral politics is increasing, or it is decreasing, or it is constant? This has to be studied by the descriptive research, where we have to compare the participation of women either as contestants or as voters in the various kind of elections, in the elections in various countries. This is a very important and also crucial subject to study the participation of women in the electoral politics. So, this issue would be discussed by the descriptive research. Similarly, the preferences of the people regarding various shoe brands or clothing brands, this all has to be surveyed and then researched upon and the results reported. So, the study is on phenomenon which has already happened, and the researcher does not have any control over those happenings. Things have already happened, phenomenon has already happened. The brand of milk has already the sale of the brand of milk has already decreased. He has to study it. He has no control over the variables, and so he has to study it according to the or the descriptive research, or all these kind of issues and topics will be covered by the say the the descriptive statistics. There are many social issues in which we cannot issue control. Even say if we are studying the divorce, increasing rate of divorce in the society. So, It is something which has already happened. We cannot do experimentation with it. We cannot do any control over the variables. It has already happened. We have to study it. This is the descriptive type of research. The next type of research is the analytical research. In analytical research, the researcher uses tools or information already available. The researcher analyzes these to make a critical evaluation of the material. It goes beyond simply reporting observations. The word empirical means information gained by observance, experience, or experiment. So, the main aspect of this method is that all evidence must be empirical. The empirical means that it is based on evidence. Empirical data is produced by experiments and observations. Empirical also refers to the use of working hypothesis, which can be tested using observation and experiment. So, this analytical research is many steps ahead of the descriptive research. Why? Because in that the exploratory, the descriptive research was something more advanced than the exploratory or formulative research, and then the analytical research is a bit more advanced than the descriptive research, where only the reporting is done in fact for the phenomenon that has happened, but not in analytical research. In analytical research, experiments will be done. In analytical research, the evidence would be collected, data would be collected, and then the data would be analyzed. That is the analytical research. It will not be just reported what has happened. So, for example, if we are working on the school leaving children, then it is not just to report what is happening. The data would be collected, and this data, which is collected from either surveys or observation or experiments, that has to be analyzed through the proper procedures, of the analysis, and then the results would come. If suppose we are studying the impact of Manrega on the, say, rural health, So, we have to generate the data, we have to collect the data, and then we have to analyze whether the introduction of Manrega has improved the rural health. That is something which has to be done by the analytic research. Next is the applied or action research. What is that? The applied research aims at finding a solution for an immediate problem of an organization, individual, or society, or a country. It is also concerned with searching for ways of using scientific knowledge to solve practical problems. It focuses on analyzing and solving social and real life problems. It also aims at identifying social, economic, or political trends that may affect a particular institution, individual, or society. The marketing research and evaluation research are examples of the applied research. Some of the examples that we are going to discuss is in this are the decrease in the demand for a particular brand of any product, or to find how a criminal can be rehabilitated and his deviant behavior can be controlled, how to reduce drug abuse among people. These are the examples of the applied research. Suppose a brand of say food product, its sale has declined. So, the owners of this brand would immediately hire a marketing research agency to see why their brand has declined. So, the marketing research company would do the research into it, and maybe they find that it is because of a smaller packaging that the other companies have increased their sales, and the sales of this particular company has declined, because people need things in smaller quantities also. So, some of the companies, they introduce their brand, say of oil or milk or anything, in a smaller packages of say 50 grams, 100 grams, whereas the packaging of this company was only for 250 grams or 500 gram or 1 kilogram. So, those smaller consumers for whom it was convenient to purchase a 100-gram package or a 200-gram package, they shifted their loyalty to those new brands who were giving in small packages. That is what the marketing research would reveal, among many things. Of course, this one I gave example. And then the remedial measure would be taken by the company to introduce its brand also, its commodity also in smaller packages, so that they can retrieve their market share of this commodity. That is the action research. Similarly, the other examples of drug abuse or criminality we can have in this applied research. So, applied research is also very important, and also this applied research is effective in the image to in studying the immediate problems of an individual or society or a country, and providing suggestions to solve this immediate problem. I hope it is clear. Then the next is the fundamental or basic research or pure research. Fundamental research is mainly concerned with generalizations and with the formulation of a theory. Gathering knowledge for knowledge's sake is termed fundamental research. Research concerning some natural phenomenon or relating to pure mathematics are example of fundamental research. Similarly, research concerned with human behavior carried on with the aim to make generalizations about human behavior are also fundamental research. It is also concerned with developing a theory pertaining to the functioning of a group, mind, group dynamics. A researcher who studies why crime is committed or how a person becomes a criminal is a case of pure research. A person studying the nature and extent of drug abuse among truck drivers is not an example of pure research. Further, the scientists, they are doing research for the space. They are doing research, say, on global warming. They are doing research on, say, Antarctica. So, a person who does not have any futuristic view can take these issues that they are doing something which is not concerned with the society, because it is not concerned with the immediate problems. However, these fundamental or basic research or pure research are of utmost important for the society. The Newton's law, the Archimedes law, or various laws that have been researched upon, they are examples of these fundamental or basic or pure research. Even the Keynesian consumption theory, which relates income and consumption, that how consumption is dictated by income and what is the relation between income and consumption. These are the examples of the fundamental or basic of pure research. So, for a society which wants to progress, which wants to advance, and which wants to have some prestige globally, this pure research or basic or fundamental research is also of utmost importance. It cannot be neglected. Suppose if India had neglected space research, then it would have been far behind. But it was not neglected. So now the space research is giving us its own benefits. The satellites, they are utilized for the educational purposes. They are utilized for, in fact, giving informations about various incidents in the sea, or earthquake. These kind of studies are also of fundamental, are termed as fundamental or pure or basic research, and these cannot be neglected by a society or a nation, because if they have to advance and make their respectable place in the community of nations, then they cannot afford to neglect the fundamental basic of pure research, because although it is not concerned with the immediate problems of the society, individual, nation or country, but it provides us a very long term and very large benefits to whole of the society, individual or country. So this type of research is also of utmost important, and it cannot be neglected by any nation or a country or society. Anyway, we have today, we will stop here, and there are many various other types of the researches that are to be discussed. We shall be discussing those in the next lecture, and I hope I have been able to make things clear, and the type of researches that we have discussed is very clear in our minds. Thank you very much.